Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. We are in the kitchen. I've got my apron on and we are about to get cooking. Well, once again, I am in the kitchen cooking up a pie, except it's a little different today because I have been outside, we have been outside painting all morning, and we've got a little bit warm because summertime is here. And well, I really don't want to crank up the oven, so I am going to make a pie that doesn't require any cooking. The only thing it requires is a refrigerator to finish it off, and then it'll be ready to go. This is a little bit of a different type of pie. I know y'all have seen me make the water pie, you've seen me make the sawdust pie. Well, today we're gonna make a possum pie. Now, don't run off because no possums were harmed in the making of this video. I promise. A possum pie is kind of the unofficial state pie of Arkansas. Yes, there is an official state pie, but if you talk to a lot of people and ask them, what do you think the state pie of Arkansas is, they're going to tell you possum pie. Now, the reason it's called possum pie is it's not exactly what it appears, because if you've ever heard the term playing possum, a lot of times those little critters will pretend to be dead or asleep because they just want you to go away and leave them alone. So they pretend to be something that they are not actually, and that's what our pie is going to be today. It's going to be pretending to be one thing when it's actually something else. So have I got your attention yet? Are you interested? And are you satisfied that we're not going to harm any possums in this video? Then let's get started putting this together. Now, the possum pie is a layered pie. Got shit all in my... Now, the ingredients for a possum pie are very simple because it's actually a layered pie. The first layer is going to be cream cheese and powdered sugar. The next layer is pudding mix, and the next layer is a homemade whipped cream. So the whipped cream hides the layers underneath, which comes the name of possum pie because it's playing possum as to what it truly is. Now, your pie crust here can be, you can use graham cracker crust, you can use a shortbread crust, you can use, I'm using a walnut crust, you could use a pecan crust, whatever suits your fancy or whatever you have in your pantry or freezer or whatever you have the ingredients to make yourself. So the first layer, let's get started on that. It's just going to be cream cheese and powdered sugar, and let's get that mixed up. So I have 6 ounces of softened cream cheese along with 3/4 cups of confectioners sugar, which is just powdered sugar, in a bowl together. I should have probably, knowing how talented that I am, I probably should have put this in a higher sided bowl because more than likely I'm going to have it everywhere. But as you can see, even measuring out, well, maybe you can't see, but back here in the back behind the bowl, yeah, if I use powdered sugar or I use flour, it's going to look like an early snowfall. So I've already kind of got a mess started, so let's hope I don't add to it. Oh, it does help if you plug it up. All right, let's try that again. And there you go, just like that. Well, maybe not just like that. Maybe you should actually remember to plug your machine up first, unlike what I just did, but you know. I am not the most talented person in the kitchen, but you know, I try hard. Do I get credit for trying hard? You know, I've been trying hard for a very long... Where are my kids licking beaters whenever I need them? Where are y'all? Okay, anyway, there is that. Now, the next step is very simple. Just like this entire recipe, this recipe is not hard at all. This just goes right in to the bottom of the pie crust. And I know my arm in the way just gets on some people's last nerve, but I do not have a studio kitchen set up here in my house. You know, I'm just happy to have a kitchen in my house. So I don't have a studio kitchen. So you're going to see freckles on my arms, and you're going to see my arm getting in your way, and sometimes you may see my big old head getting in your way, but, you know, I'm trying. All right, then this is all it amounts to, is you spread this out, kind of halfway get it spread out smooth there. Almost like a pretend cheesecake thing going on here. Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to hit the pole. All right, so there is layer number 1. So let's move on to layer number 2, but first I'm going to wipe up part of my mess here, okay? So stand by. Before we actually mix up the next layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and sprinkle a 1/4 cup of pecans. Now I'm using chopped pecans. If you want to make this with pecan halves, pecan pieces, whatever you want to do, I am just using chopped pecans. And yes, I know I'm using my fingers. Somebody's gonna say something about using my fingers, but I wash my hands before I cook, so my hands are clean. All right, so that's a 1/4 cup of chopped pecans. Now we're gonna mix up the next layer. Again, very simple ingredients. You're going to put in a 1/3 cup of instant chocolate pudding mix, a 1/4 cup of instant vanilla pudding mix, and 2 cups of cold milk. Now I'm going to mix these together. I'm going to use my hand mixer, and I'm going to mix those on on low speed for 2 minutes. I'm not going to make you endure listening to the clanging and beating and banging of my mixer, but you will mix this for 2 minutes. I almost forgot one other ingredient, and that is vanilla. And that goes in with the pudding. And that is supposed to be 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So now I'm going to mix all of this together for 2 minutes on low speed. And here we go, just like magic, we have got pudding. So that was the chocolate and vanilla pudding mix and 2 cups of cold milk. And I'm going to just add this layer right on top of that cream cheese and powdered sugar layer. Just like that. And it's kind of smeared around, make it pretty, or prettier. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. Got that leveled out. Now this is going to go into the refrigerator for 2 hours, at least 2 hours, and we're going to let it's going to stiffen up. The pudding's going to stiffen up for us a bit, and then we'll come back and put the final layer on it. But that little plastic cover that came with my pie crust, I am just going to put that right on top of it there. and that's gonna go in the refrigerator. We're back. Now it has been longer than 2 hours since I put the pie into the refrigerator because we got back outside and have been painting all afternoon, and it really doesn't matter because that just lets the pudding set up a little bit longer and it's fine. So if you get caught up in something and you even have to leave it overnight, it's fine. Don't stress about it. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to go get an apron on and we're going to finish up this pie. Now, to finish off this recipe, we're going to make a very simple whipped cream to put on top of it. And if you've never made whipped cream before, you may be surprised at exactly how easy it is to make whipped cream. And that was a half of cup. I'm just using heavy, I'm gonna wipe my mess off here, just using heavy whipping cream. That's all I'm using there. Use your favorite brand. And I am going to add 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar, whichever one that you call it. And I'm going to add just a dab. A dab's about that much. Just put a little bit of vanilla in it. Just don't pour half the bottle in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a whisk and we're going to beat this up until we get some nice peaks in it. We don't want it to be too hard peaks, but we also don't want it just running off the pie. So here we go. I'll show you what I'm talking about as we get it beating. So I'm probably going to mute this, so listen to the music for your pleasure. Is formed nice peaks. It's pretty. We don't want to keep going until it turns into butter, because you know you can make butter from whipping cream, but we don't want to do that, okay? So let's not do that. Now, just gonna set that off to the side. If you have a stand mixer, you can do this much easier. And if I would have gotten out a straight-sided bowl, I wouldn't have had some of the splatter that I had, but you know, real cooking. And anytime I do real cooking, I make a real mess. So let me grab a spatula real quick. Hold on just a minute. All right, here we go. Got one. Now all I'm gonna do is I am going to get all this good stuff and I'm gonna put it right here on top of this pie, just like that. This is not meringue now, so for those of you that are like me or like my daddy, I don't know what y'all think of meringue, but my daddy always called it calf slobber. Sorry, there's a fruit fly or something floating around in here. But yeah, he called it calf slobber, and he didn't want calf slobber on his pie. And I'm pretty much the same way. I don't like meringue on my pies. I don't mind whipped cream, but yeah, nothing else. Okay, and just kind of spread that out. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to hide that chocolate, because remember, this is supposed to be a pie that's pretending to be something that it's not. So we're trying to cover up that chocolate there, because remember, it's playing possum. And what you don't want to do is what I just did, and dip your spatula down into your chocolate and then it gets into your whipped cream. You could actually make a double batch of this whipped cream to make it deeper if you wanted to, but I didn't want that much whipped cream. Some people like a little bit of pie with their whipped cream, but you know, I think this is just enough. All right, now, why don't that look good? All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a topping on it. Now, I've seen it all different types of ways. I've seen it with just pecans on top. I've seen it with shaved chocolate on top, caramel sauce, all types of different toppings. But we're just going to keep it simple. Those same chopped pecans that I put on the inside, I'm just going to sprinkle same thing here on top. Just kind of, if you want to decorate it up pretty and make it all fancy, go ahead. We're not fancy here. And I know we got some chocolate lovers out there, because just about everything I make, they're like, can you throw some chocolate chips in it? So you know what? We got chocolate pudding in here, but I'm going to throw some chocolate chips on there. How about that? That work for y'all? Does that make you chocolate lovers happy? You know, makes me happy, so let's see. I think that's about enough. What you think? Okay, that's it. That was the entire pie, was those layers. And again, no possum in possum pie. It's just plain possum, because it tricks you into thinking it's something it's not. So why don't we cut into this and see what it tastes like? All right, so here is the end result. I've already took a bite out of it because I started recording and then had to start over. But I'll tell you that this is such an easy pie to make, and it looks like it would take a lot of time, but it really doesn't. It's very simple. The longest thing that takes is waiting for it to kind of set up in the refrigerator, but it is very light. It is good for a hot summer day when you really don't feel like doing any cooking, because it requires no oven, and it's light enough to not weigh you down after a hard day outside. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my pie. You enjoy the rest of your day. And if you want the recipe, if you will look down in the description below, you'll find it there. I hope you come back. Love y'all. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.